This time of year, a good hoodie is absolutely essential. But these days, it's tough to find one that will last through the season. That's why the American Giant Classic Full Zip Hoodie is made to last a lifetime. So you can count on it to bring you comfort and warmth year after year. Slate Magazine called it the greatest hoodie ever made. And from cotton to zipper, it's made right here in the USA. It's crafted with timeless style, heavyweight fleece, a double-lined hood, and reinforced elbow patches, which means this hoodie can withstand any outing or adventure. It'll be your new favorite hoodie, and you can depend on it for years to come. Plus, buying from American Giant means supporting local communities of farmers, manufacturers, and more. This season, snag the hoodie that will bring you comfort for life, the American Giant Classic Full Zip, and save 20% off your first order at american-giant.com when you use code CLASSIC24 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at american-giant.com. Code CLASSIC24.
Our 7th hour of great radio shows here for Mount Wheeler Power continues now with an episode of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense. This is entitled Out for Christmas.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
We who are in the business of keeping you in suspense find ourselves in a quandary at this time of the year. The elements of suspense, murder, mayhem, and macabre mischief are awkwardly out of place at this festival of peace and love. Yet that first Christmas was full of suspense. There was the problem of lodgings for the delicate mother that chill evening when there was no room at the inn. And there was great mystery when suddenly the star appeared in the east. Finally, there was the magnificent climax and happy ending when the three kings of the Orient arrived at last bearing gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. We feel that we cannot improve upon this tale, so we will bring you another, along with our best wishes for a most Merry Christmas. Listen then as Mr. Raymond Burr stars in Out for Christmas, which begins in just a moment.
Here's actress Joan Bennett.
It's terrible to try to act with a dreadful cold. To feel better quickly, I take 4-way cold tablets, the fast way to relieve nasty cold distress.
Yes, tests of 4 leading cold tablets proved 4-way fastest acting of all. Amazing 4-way starts in minutes to relieve aches, pains, headache, reduce fever, calm upset stomach, also overcomes irregularity.
When you catch cold, try my way. Take 4-way cold tablets, the fast way to relieve cold distress.
4-way, 29 and 59 cents.
Here's a word about another fine product of Grove Laboratories. Had dandruff for years? Now get rid of it in 3 minutes with Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo. 3 minutes with Fitch regularly is guaranteed to keep unsightly dandruff away forever. Apply Fitch before wetting hair. Rub in 1 minute. Add water. Lather 1 minute. Then rinse 1 minute. Every trace of dandruff goes down the drain. 3 minutes with Fitch. Embarrassing dandruff's gone. Fitch can also leave hair up to 35% brighter. Get Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo today.
And now, Out for Christmas, starring Mr. Raymond Burr, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
I hadn't figured on being out for Christmas, but my prison record paid off. Takes a lot of good behavior to knock time off and armed robbery and assault rap, but I was a good boy, model prisoner. Took everything they threw at me with not exactly with a smile. I don't smile much. But I took it without griping. So I'm out for Christmas. And Christmas is as good a time as any for what I gotta do. The town looked cruddy. They got phony tin Christmas trees in the lampposts along the main drag and colored lights all over the joint and Christmas carols screeching at you from loudspeakers everywhere. Even the saloons got red and green streamers all over the place and the bar mirrors all frosted like snow. The big bowl of slop called Tom and Jerry they're pushing.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
What'll it be? A little Christmas cheer? A hot Tom and Jerry, maybe?
Ain't you got any whiskey?
Oh, sure. We got whiskey.
Give me a straight shot.
Okay.
Can't you get anything on that jukebox but them Christmas carols?
What's the matter? Don't you like carols?
No, they stink.
You won't think so after you get a couple of belts under your belt.
Do you think so?
Sure, it's Christmas, man.
Yeah, so I heard. That tastes good. Real good.
Say, you look sort of familiar. Don't I know you from someplace?
I was wondering how long it'd take.
Yeah, the voice is familiar, and your eyes sort of...
Joe Watson.
Joe, I heard you was going to get out soon. Charlie Jones told me. But I didn't know you'd be out for Christmas.
Yeah, they got big-hearted.
Say, you put on a little weight. Yeah, that's why I didn't recognize you.
30 pounds, prison child.
But you look real good, Joe. Real good.
Yeah. Hey, where is Charlie? He been in tonight?
Not yet, but he'll be around probably.
Gotta see him. You know where he's living at?
Yeah, he's got a room over on 4th Street.
Room? I figured he'd be living in a flop house.
Oh, not Charlie. He's doing okay since he got out. Got a steady job. How about you, Joe? You got a job lined up?
Yeah, I got a job lined up.
A good job?
It'll be good. As good as I can make it.
Last-minute shopping really got you down? Or you dashing and prancing all over the town? You bought a lot of presents and you still have lots to go? Well...
Go, get a Scripto.
You don't have to know a size. You don't worry about the fit. A new Scripto pen or pencil always makes a hit. For Mom or Dad or Sister, Aunt Jane or Uncle Joe.
Go, get a Scripto. Go, get a Scripto. Get a Scripto.
Here's the easy, convenient way to finish all your Christmas shopping in a matter of minutes. With Scripto pens and pencils, available at stores everywhere. All Scriptos, costing $1 or more, are handsomely gift boxed. See the famous Scripto Satellite. The Satellite outwrites any other pen you've ever used. Costs only $1.95. Enjoy one-stop gift shopping.
Go, get a Scripto.
Give a Scripto.
Scripto.
And now, starring Mr. Raymond Burr, Act 2 of Out for Christmas.
They even had this rooming house where Charlie was staying, loused up for Christmas. There was a moth-eaten poinsettia wreath in the door and red and green lights in the landlady's window. Charlie's room was on the 4th floor at the back.
Joe!
Yeah.
Oh, so they let you out for Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, come on in. Gee, it's good to see you, Joe.
Good to see you, Charlie. Say, what you got there?
Oh, that's an electric train. Just a minute, I'll turn it off.
Electric train? What for?
Oh, my sister's kid. That's all he talks about for Christmas, an electric train. So I got him one at a discount at the place where I work, but I wanted to see if it works okay. You know how it is.
Yeah. So what's the idea of the Christmas tree?
Well, living by myself and all, I thought I'd have my own tree. It's just a little one.
You lost your marbles?
Well, it's Christmas, Joe.
The guys in cell block 4 ought to see you now playing with electric trains into your own Christmas tree.
And I bet they'd like to be doing the same thing.
Not me. Did you check up on Malloy like I asked you to?
Yeah? Yes, he's still on the police force.
Good. You got a gun?
No, I don't have no use for guns anymore.
Know where I can get one?
Well, sure, I guess I could locate one.
Well, I told you to. In my last letter, I told you. Get a gun for me, I said.
I know, Joe, but look, pal, I thought that... Well, I hope maybe you'd change your mind.
Charlie, from the day he testified against me, I swore I'd get him. His testimony did it, you know. That's what convicted me. He sent me up.
He had to testify the way he did.
He didn't have to be so convincing.
But, Joe, what good'll it do? You'll only get the chair.
I'm not afraid of the chair. I've seen enough of life. It stinks. I ain't in love with it. I'd just as soon leave it so long as I take that rat with me.
But it ain't only him, Joe.
What do you mean?
He's married now.
You kidding? What kind of a dizzy broad would want him?
You ain't gonna like this, Joe.
Ain't gonna like what?
The dizzy broad that married him is Lucille.
Lucille? My Lucille.
That's right. I'm sorry, Joe.
Funny. It's real funny. She wrote me. She couldn't wait for me no longer. You remember when I got the letter.
I remember.
But she didn't say who it was. She never answered my letters after that. Oh, that lousy double cross.
Well, you went up for 10 to 20, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess she never counted on me making it an 8 and time off for good behavior.
But 8 years is a long time for a young girl to wait, Joe.
Mike Malloy's a fine guy to throw me over for. Well, makes it dandy. Double dandy. It'll be a pleasure to kill them both.
Oh, how can you talk that way, Joe? It's Christmas.
Christmas is for people who don't know no better. Kids and idiots.
Oh, Joe, listen to me now. Forget all about Malloy and Lucille. You got a chance to make a new life for yourself, like I'm doing. I can get you a job where I'm working. I'm sure I can.
What are you doing?
I'm Santa Claus in the toy department at Brighton's department store.
Ain't no future in that. You're going to be out of work day after tomorrow.
No, I'm not. They promised to keep me on.
Doing what? Minding the reindeer?
Well, Mr. Brighton believes in giving guys like us a chance. Now, that's why I'm sure that you can get a job there. You come down tomorrow and talk to him.
I'll talk to him after Christmas.
Hey, good. Oh, say, how about coming over to my sister's house for Christmas dinner day after tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah, I might even do that.
Good. You see, Joe, there ain't no sense in carrying around hatred in your heart, especially at Christmas time. So let Malloy and Lucille have their Christmas in peace.
Oh, they'll have their Christmas all right. Their last Christmas.
But then it'll be your last one, too.
I just got to figure different. Never mind the gun. I'll get my own gun tomorrow. But there is one thing I want from you.
What's that, Joe?
Tomorrow night, I want to borrow your Santa Claus suit.
Holiday hustle make you queasy, stomach nervous and uneasy? Then
Do you know about the little white chablets in the little green pocket roll? Just a-waiting for the moment when you need 'em to bring your acid indigestion under control. Chums are the little white chablets in the little green pocket roll. Tums for the tummies, T-U-M-S. Bring relief quicker than you'd ever guess. Best for any kind of acid distress. Keep 'em handy in the pocket roll. Keep your tummy under Tums control.
yes, during the busy, bustling season, get quick relief from annoying acid indigestion. Always carry Tums, 10 cents. 3-roll pack, a quarter. Or get the new 6-roll pack with free metal carrier, 49 cents.
And now, starring Mr. Raymond Burr, Act 3 of Out for Christmas.
Next day, I did my Christmas shopping for a gun. That night, I wrapped Charlie's Santa Claus suit into a bundle, took a bus out to the subdivision where Malloy and Lucille had a house. I ducked into an alley behind the supermarket and pulled on the red suit, whiskers and all. It was going to be so easy I had to laugh. You couldn't want a better disguise on Christmas Eve for murder. I didn't have any trouble finding the house, a little box of a house like all the others in the street and decorated with colored lights like all the others. Nobody saw me, even if they had. Who is a better right than Santa Claus to be on the streets Christmas Eve? The gun felt cold in my pocket as I closed my fist around it and pushed the bell. Even it was wired for Christmas.
Yes?
Merry Christmas.
Why, it's Santa Claus.
Aren't you going to ask me in?
Well, my husband isn't home yet.
That's all right. I'll come in and wait for him.
I don't understand.
You don't believe in Santa Claus anymore, Lucille? You ought to.
Who are you?
Don't you recognize my voice?
You sound like...
Joe?
Oh, no.
Good old Joe. He was going to wait for me. No matter how long it took.
Joe, I thought you were...
In the cooler for keeps, I told you I'd come back for you. Here I am.
Well, you're too late, Joe.
Yeah, so I hear. How come you didn't wait, Lucille?
I fell in love.
With the guy who sent me to prison? For a no-good cop?
He didn't send you to prison, Joe. You were guilty.
I'd have beat the rap if he hadn't testified the way he did.
He had to testify that way. He was only telling the truth.
Yeah, so you could get me out of the way and steal my girl.
Joe, you've got things all twisted. It all happened afterwards. I only met him at your trial. We fell in love afterwards.
When I couldn't protect myself.
Oh, Joe, I'm sorry. It just happened.
You're telling me. Where's the fuzz?
Who?
The copper, your old man.
He's still on duty.
Working overtime to put the arm on some stiff on Christmas Eve. When will he be home?
I expect him any time now.
Good. I'm going to be glad to see him.
Why, when you hate him so?
Well, you see, I promised him something. Didn't he ever tell you?
No.
I promised to kill him when I got out.
Joe.
Tonight's the night, see?
Well, you mean it? You've got a gun.
Sure, I got a gun. And I'm going to use it. On both of you.
Both of us?
You both double-crossed me. I could kill you first, but I think I'll wait till your old man comes home. Ought to be interesting to see how he acts. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he tried to make a deal with me.
A deal?
Yeah, like shoot my wife but let me go free.
What a terrible thing to say.
You'll see what kind of a creep you married.
Joe, do it then. But do it because I ask you. Kill me and let him go.
I come to get you both. And I'm going to get you both. Together. How about some music while we're waiting? Turn on the radio. Go on, turn it on. He made you happy, Lucy?
Yeah, Joe. Very.
You made him happy?
I hope so.
That's nice. Because tonight you're both going to make me happy. By becoming very dead.
It's too loud.
What's that?
Oh, little Lucy, the radio woke her.
You got kids?
Yeah.
Where you going?
I had to look in on her and quiet her.
Don't try nothing funny. I'll be right behind you.
Oh, there now, honey. There. It's all right. Mommy just turned the radio on too loud.
I'm scared, Mommy. Mommy, look behind you. It's Santa Claus.
Yes, dear, Santa Claus.
Oh, Mikey, wake up. Huh? Mikey, look, it's Santa Claus. Santa Claus. Santa Claus. I want to see Santa Claus.
Of all leading filters, cigarettes, Kent filters best, Kent filters best. It makes good sense when you smoke Kent, Kent filters best. Of all of the brands of cigarettes, Kent tastes the best, Kent tastes the best. A richer taste than all the rest, Kent filters best. It makes good sense when you smoke Kent. Of all leading filters, cigarettes, Kent filters best.
And now, starring Mr. Raymond Burr, Act 4 of Out for Christmas.
Just had time to jam the gun back into my pocket before those two kids were wide awake and all over me, grabbing at my red suit, pulling at my phony whiskers, pushing me into a
Did you
chair.
bring me a present, Santa Claus, did you? Where are your reindeer, Santa? Sit down, Mikey. I want to sit on his lap.
See what's afraid of these kids.
Where's my present, Santa?
Well, parked outside, Mikey, on the roof.
Did you come down the chimney?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Why aren't your clothes dirty? Didn't the fire burn you?
Well, no, you see, it's an asbestos suit. Now, listen, you kids ought to go back to bed.
Oh, no, Santa, please, we want our presents. I want to see the reindeer.
See, you gotta get them off me.
They're so excited, Joe. They've never entertained Santa Claus before.
I ain't no Santa Claus.
To them you are.
Yeah.
Santa Claus,
What?
I want to kiss you. Me too.
All right, you kids. Now, listen to me.
Yes, Santa Claus, I'm listening. Me too.
You gotta go back to bed now.
Well, I want my presents. Me too.
You'll get your presents in the morning when you wake up. They'll be under the tree.
You promise?
I promise. Now, you run off to bed. Now, Con, I gotta get going. Now, you wouldn't want the other boys and girls to miss their presents because I've been goofing off with you, would you?
Oh, no, that wouldn't be fair.
All right, then. Off to bed you go.
All right. Come on, Mikey. Merry Christmas, Santa Claus. Me too.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, kids. And good night.
Good night. Come on, Mikey.
Oh, Joe. They'll never forget that.
Yeah, will I?
Merry Christmas, honey. I'm sorry I'm late. Hey, what's this?
It's Joe Watson, Mike.
Joe Watson? What the devil are you doing here?
He came to kill us.
What?
Take it easy, Mike. Here's my gun.
You changed your mind?
Your kids changed my mind.
They thought he was really Santa Claus, darling. They were so excited.
Mike, you can send me up again. Better to go back for a parole violation, I guess, than for murder.
Well, wait a minute. We gotta have a complaining witness. You want to make a complaint, Lucille?
No, Mike. I want to thank Joe for giving the kids the best Christmas of their lives.
Well, I haven't any complaint then. Merry Christmas, Joe.
I still say Christmas is for people who don't know no better. Like kids and idiots. Yeah. Merry Christmas. Suspense, in which Raymond Burr starred in Out for Christmas, written, produced, and directed by William N. Robeson. In just a moment, the names of the supporting players and a word about next week's story of Suspense.
Christmas Eve on CBS Radio, Bing Crosby invites you to celebrate Christmas with the world on our 4th annual Christmas Sing with Bing. With Bing as your guide and CBS Radio as your magic carpet, you'll visit Rome to hear the Vatican Choir. There, too, you'll hear the sound of the bells of St. Peter's as they ring for the holiday Mass. On our Christmas Sing with Bing, you'll visit New York and Salt Lake City, Canada, Australia, Holland, France, even places like Hawaii, Alaska, and the Fiji Islands, where carolers and choirs will be waiting to sing the traditional Christmas songs with you. To add to the excitement this year, Mrs. Bing Crosby, Catherine Grant, will be at her husband's side. Whether you spend Christmas Eve at home or out on the highway heading for a holiday destination, join us right here on CBS Radio, as most of these same stations present our 4th annual Christmas Sing with Bing.
Supporting Raymond Burr in Out for Christmas were Joan Banks, Lillian Baeff, Charles Seal, Carl Swenson, Howard McNear, and Dick Beals. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with Mr. Frank Lovejoy starring in The 32nd of December. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. This is the CBS Radio Network.
66 years ago, December 21st, 1958, Suspense. When the great classic radio theater Christmas shows of all time, sponsored by Mount Wheeler Power, continues on KELY, we will take you to Miracle on 34th Street. That's next.
This is Christina Sawyer of Mount Wheeler Power, and for the past 20 years, I've had the privilege to witness the true spirit of cooperation through our Santa's Elves program. You, our members, have consistently shown your generosity year after year with donations of toys, clothes, and money to support this program. Whether it's one toy or 10, every donation makes a difference. Because of you, each year, 100 or more children experience the magic of finding toys under their Christmas tree, who otherwise might have gone without. Des and her dedicated team at the White Pine County Social Services Office are an invaluable resource, working closely with families in need during this holiday season, ensuring help reaches those who need it most. This spirit of giving is echoed throughout our community with businesses like Economy Drug, whose staff go above and beyond to help us fulfill the children's wish lists. And what a joy it is when groups and organizations arrive with truckloads of toys collected from hosting toy drives. Sponsoring these wonderful old-time radio shows is our way of expressing our gratitude for your continued generosity and support of the Santa's Elves program. Now let's return to more of the greatest radio show of all time.
Such a very special part of the holidays, Santa's Elves is. Now, we continue with more great radio shows going back 75 years to December 23rd, 1949, the Screen Directors Playhouse presentation of Miracle on 34th Street, starring Edmund Gwinn as Kris Kringle.
You don't believe in Santa Claus? Well, why not? Santa Claus believes in you.
The jaunty, portly little man with the white whiskers swung his cane as he walked in the brisk November morning. He walked into a department store famous across the nation, Macy's 34th Street, New York, crowded amiably into the elevator, and got out at the employment office. It seems a Mrs. Doris Walker was the lady to see up there. Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes?
You'll be needing a Santa Claus for your toy department this Christmas. I wish to apply for the position.
Well, we do need a Santa Claus if you're qualified.
Oh, I'm eminently qualified.
Do you like children?
Who doesn't?
Do you have any children?
Millions of them.
I must certainly say you look like Santa Claus.
Well, I certainly should look like Santa Claus.
You won't even need padding.
Oh, no, I carry my own.
Now, you understand that Macy's has a line of toys that you may recommend with complete confidence.
I assume that I'm hired?
Yes, can you start tomorrow morning, Mr.
Kringle.
What?
Kringle. I'm Kris Kringle.
The new Santa Claus was positively the most sensational Santa Claus who had ever held court on Macy's 7th floor. He was the real article, all right. He had that deep down, genuine, crisp, Kris Kringle crinkle in his eyes. And if he told you anything, you could depend on it.
Electric trains? Why, yes, Peter. Yes, madam, right over that way. Realistic models of the Chief and Super Chief. Now, what about you, little girl, huh? Oh, yes, madam. We have wonderful skates here, but not quite what your little boy seems to want. Now, I'd suggest you go across the street to Gimbel's.
Gimbel's?
Oh, yes, I keep track of the toy market pretty closely. What, does that surprise you so?
Macy's sending me to another store?
Well, the only important thing is to make the children happy, isn't it? Huh? And whether Macy's or somebody else sells the toy doesn't make any difference.
Well, it's wonderful. I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Well, you can get it at the Acme Toy Company. Only $8.50, plus tax.
And so it went. And so the customers went. To other stores if Macy's didn't have it. The grown-ups began to believe in Santa Claus as much as the children. All except one small child named Susan Walker, who finally came to Kris Kringle, a skeptical look on her small face and a prodding young man at her back.
Well, young lady, and what would you like for Christmas?
Go ahead, Susan. Tell Santa what you'd like.
What's your name, little girl?
Susan Walker, and I don't believe in Santa Claus.
Oh.
My mother happens to be Mrs. Walker, the lady who hired you.
Well, your daddy here believes I'm Santa Claus, I'll bet.
He's not my daddy. My father and mother are divorced. This is Mr. Gailey, who lives in the apartment next to ours.
I see.
He's a lawyer at law.
Attorney at law, Susan.
He pretends he brought me to see you, but he really came to visit Mother.
Oh. Really?
Oh, brother.
I must say you're the best-looking Santa Claus Mother ever hired.
Oh, thank you.
Your whiskers aren't loose at the sides.
Well, that's because they're real, just like I'm really Santa Claus.
Oh, now stop.
Now go ahead. Come on, pull them.
Pull them?
Go ahead.
All right.
Oh! Ouch.
Well, they're on pretty tight, all right.
Now what would you like me to bring you for Christmas?
Susan.
There's Mother now.
I'm dead.
Susan, Mr. Gailey, I told you not to bring Susan down here.
But your maid is out sick, and Susan was alone
Mr.
at
Gailey,
home.
I am bringing Susan up to face reality.
Well, in reality, he came to see you, Mrs. Walker.
Really, Mr. Gailey, will you step this way, please?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your name?
Kris Kringle.
That's your trade name. I mean your real name.
Santa Claus.
We can talk here, Fred.
Now, Doris...
I keep telling Susan that Santa Claus is a myth, and you bring her down here to see thousands of children like herself worshiping a very convincing old man with real whiskers. What's she to think? What's she to believe?
Whatever makes her happy.
Well, I don't want my child growing up to consider life a fairy tale instead of reality. They keep waiting for a Prince Charming to come along, and when he does, he turns out to be someone they...
Someone they'll have to divorce?
We were talking about Susan.
Oh.
In fact, I'm going to have to talk to that Santa Claus about Susan before he goes to lunch.
Yes, Mrs. Walker?
The reason I called you into my office was to have you tell Susan here that you're not Santa Claus.
Yeah, but I am Santa Claus.
See, Mother? A girl doesn't know what to think these days.
I want you to tell her the truth. Now, what's your name?
Kris Kringle.
See?
I mean your real name.
Well, that is my real name.
Now, see here, Excuse me a moment.
Yes, Mrs. Walker.
Miss Thomas, will you get out an employment card filled out by a Mr. Kris Kringle, if there is one? I'll wait.
I'll bet you're in the first grade, Susan.
Second.
Second?
I'm very advanced.
Oh.
Here it is, Mrs. Walker. Mr. Kris Kringle.
No.
Yeah, Kris Kringle. Residence, Brooks Memorial Home for the Aged. Age as old as my tongue and a little older than my teeth.
Oh, no.
Do you know what I think?
Yes, the same thing I think.
I think he's nuts.
That's what I think.
He really believes he's Santa Claus.
With bells on.
Well, you better get rid of him. He might be dangerous.
Thank you, Miss Thomas. I agree. Mr. Kringle, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to make a change.
Have I done something wrong?
Well, no, that is not wrong, but... excuse me. Yes?
Mr. Macy's on the phone.
Oh, put him on.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes, Mr. Macy?
I've just heard about your new Santa Claus.
Oh, yes, Mr. Macy. I was just going into that, Mr. Macy.
The very idea of his telling people that if Macy's doesn't have it, to go to Gimbel's.
Well, I have him right here. Gimbel's?
Directly across the street.
Imagine Macy's Santa Claus sending customers to Gimbel's. Wonderful.
Huh?
The public response is wonderful. We're getting to be known as the helpful store, the friendly store, the store that places public service ahead of profits. And consequently, we'll make more profit than ever.
Yes, sir.
Great idea, Mrs. Walker. Great work. Keep it up.
Yes, Mr. Macy.
And above all, keep that Santa Claus.
Keep him? But he's
great.
But, Mr. Macy, I don't...
Goodbye, Mrs. Walker.
Mr. Macy, Mr. Kringle.
Yes?
Mr. Macy suggests that we try you out a little longer.
Well, that's mighty good news, Mrs. Walker. You see, this is quite an opportunity for me. Yes, for the last 50 years or so, I've been getting more and more worried about Christmas. Seems we're all so busy trying to beat the other fellow in making things go faster and look shinier and cost less, that Christmas and I are sort of getting lost in the shuffle.
Christmas is still Christmas.
Oh, but it isn't just a day. It's a frame of mind. And that's what's been changing. That's why I'm glad I'm here. Maybe I can do something about it. Oh, I'm glad I met you and your daughter.
Thank you.
You two are a kind of test case for me.
What's a test case?
Well, if I can make you and your mother believe in me...
Speaking of tests, Mr. Kringle, would you kindly report to Mr. Sawyer's office the first thing tomorrow morning?
Mr. Sawyer?
Yes, he'll give you an examination.
A mental examination?
Oh, it's just routine. All of our employees are required to take an examination.
Oh, I don't mind. I've taken dozens of examinations. Never failed one yet. I'll see Mr. Sawyer first thing in the morning.
Thank you.
Goodbye, Mrs. Walker. Bye, Susan.
Goodbye, Mr. Kringle.
Oh, excuse me, Chris.
I was just leaving. Bye. Bye-bye.
Hello, Doris. How are you, Susan?
I'm fine. Mother's got problems.
Fred, I'm worried about Mr. Kringle.
Worried? Why?
Well, I think he's mentally unsound.
I think he's a fantastic, delightful, and unselfish human being. And if being delightful, unselfish, and human is bad, what's good?
Well, Mr. Macy likes him, so I have to keep him. But not if he's insane.
Oh, nonsense.
Well, he thinks he's Santa Claus.
Well, maybe he is.
Well, suppose he gets worse. Suppose he gets violent.
Chris?
Nevertheless, I'm having Mr. Sawyer question him tomorrow. Only, how can I be sure that Kringle will even show up tomorrow?
It's easy. I'll take him home with me tonight and bring him to work in the morning.
Oh, would you?
All you have to do is to marry me.
Fred.
When I can afford it.
Do it, Mother.
Susan.
Well, then at least have me in to dinner tonight. With Mr. Chris Kringle, my house guest of honor.
Well, that evening, Chris Kringle went home with Fred Gailey. And after dinner in Doris Walker's apartment next door, Chris left Fred and Doris to discuss child psychology, or something, and stole quietly into Susan's bedroom. Susan, sophisticated child, was in bed, blowing bubblegum bubbles.
Oh, that was a big one.
Susan, why don't you give me a chance to prove to you that I'm really Santa Claus?
There is no Santa Claus.
Oh, now there must be something you want for Christmas.
Mother will get me anything I want.
Oh, but there must be something she can't get you.
Well...
Ha. There is something.
I'd like a house.
What, you mean a doll's house?
No, a real house. To live in.
A real house?
If you're really Santa Claus, you can get it for me. If you can't, you're only a nice man with a white beard, like Mother says.
Oh, but you've got this lovely apartment to live in.
I want a backyard to play in, and grass, and a white picket fence and rose bushes. But Mother can't afford it, and I guess you can't get it, huh?
No, I didn't say that, you know. Well, I've got to see Mr. Sawyer first thing in the morning. I'll get right to work on it after that, Susan, tomorrow.
Now, tell me, Kringle, how many days in the week?
7.
Who was the first president of the United States?
George Washington.
How much is 3 times 5?
Well, you asked me that before.
I'm conducting this examination. How much is 3 times 5?
Well, same as it was before, 15. You're rather nervous, Mr. Sawyer, aren't you? Do you get enough sleep?
Never mind. How many fingers am I holding up?
3? Oh, you bite your nails, too.
Kringle.
You know, sometimes nervous habits like yours are a result of insecurity.
I didn't ask you.
Oh, I just want to be helpful.
I didn't ask for help, you fuzzy old crackpot.
Mr. Sawyer, that's hardly the proper way to conduct a mental examination.
Oh, I'm wasting my time on a hopeless case. Get out.
Mr. Sawyer.
I said get out.
Mr. Sawyer, I have great respect for psychiatry and great contempt for imposters and quacks.
I beg your pardon.
I should like to see your degree in medicine.
Get out.
Also proof of your specialization in psychiatry.
Get out. Get out!
Now, either you stop analyzing people, or I'm going to tell Mr. Macy what a contemptible, vicious, malicious fraud you really are.
I'll have you committed to an insane asylum.
Well, you're the one who needs treatment.
You
lunatic, are you saying I'm crazy?
Now, put down that inkwell.
Put down that cane.
Put down that inkwell.
You go first.
I'd better. You're dangerous.
When he recovered, Mr. Sawyer jingled Bellevue. And that is how Santa Claus, alias Kris Kringle, found himself that very morning in the violent ward at Bellevue Hospital.
You are listening to the Screen Directors Playhouse presentation of Miracle on 34th Street, starring Edmund Gwinn in his original Academy Award-winning role of Kris Kringle.
Late that afternoon, Fred Gailey, attorney at law, came to visit Kris Kringle in the violent ward at Bellevue Hospital.
All right, now, Chris, why did you do it?
Why did I conk Mr. Sawyer?
Why did you fail your examination by the doctors here at Bellevue? You did it deliberately.
I did. I said the first president of the United States was Calvin Coolidge.
But why?
Well, Fred, the last few days, I had a feeling people were warming up towards each other. Macy's sending customers to Gimbel's. Gimbel's sending customers to Macy's. Gimbel and Macy shaking hands. Wyszynski saying yes. People were beginning to make some sense, even if Doris did doubt me.
Doris hasn't believed in anything for years. Ever since her marriage went to
it
pieces.
wasn't just Doris. It was Sawyer. Now, he's contemptible, dishonest, selfish, vicious. Yet he's out there and I'm in here. He's called normal. I'm not. And we've got a world full of Mr. Sawyers. And if that's normal, I don't want it, Fred. That's why I answered those questions incorrectly.
But, Chris, what happens to a lot of people, like me, who do believe in you and what you stand for? What happens to people like little Susan, just beginning to believe?
Susan?
Are you going to let her down? People like that?
Well, I hadn't thought of that, Fred.
Are you going to quit right in the middle of your job?
Gee, you're right, Fred. I'm ashamed of myself. Let's get out of here.
Not so fast, Chris. Getting in here was easy. Getting you out will be a lot harder.
Oh, not for you. You're a fine lawyer.
Perhaps, but...
But what?
You've been ordered committed to a mental institution.
Oh, I see.
However, I've requested a formal hearing, and it's been granted.
What the issue being, do I jingle the bells or do the bets run the belfry?
Doctors doubt sanity of Santa who launched goodwill campaign. Kris Kringle crazy? Court case coming. Calamity, cry kiddies.
Your Honor, the commitment papers being before you, I should like to call the first witness. Mr. Kris Kringle, will you please take the stand?
Delighted to do so, Mr. Prosecutor.
Mr. Kringle?
Your Honor?
This is merely a hearing. You do not have to answer the questions or even testify at all.
We've no objections, Your Honor.
Well, I'll be glad to answer any questions I can.
You may question the witness, Mr. Prosecutor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tell us, sir, what is your true name?
Kris Kringle.
And where do you live?
Well, that's what this hearing will decide.
Mr. Kringle, do you believe that you are Santa Claus?
Of course.
Perhaps the witness doesn't understand the question.
I understood the question perfectly, Your Honor.
In which case, Your Honor, the state rests.
In view of the defendant's statement, does counsel for the defendant wish to put in a defense?
Your Honor, the entire case against my client boils down to this. The prosecution contends that Mr. Kringle is not sane because he believes himself to be Santa Claus.
That is true.
But if Mr. Kringle were the person he believes himself to be, he would be as sane as we are.
Correct.
I intend to prove that Mr. Kringle is not insane because he is Santa Claus.
Fred, let's be sensible. You can't possibly prove that poor old man is Santa Claus.
Why can't I?
And he's not a poor old man.
Logic, Fred, not faith and hope wins out in court. That's just common sense.
And I guess in these last few years, you've developed too much common sense.
Well, one of us has to have it, Fred.
And both of us have to have faith, Doris. Or we're wrong for each other.
I see.
Even when I can afford it, we're wrong for each other.
Well, I'm going to pray for Santa Claus.
Mr. Kringle, dear.
Santa Claus.
I mailed your letter to Santa, Susan.
Thank you very much.
Special delivery. He'll get it tomorrow. And now, Mr. Macy, I will turn the questioning over to a person you know. A person in whom I have the deepest confidence and belief. My client and your employee, Mr. Kris Kringle.
But I don't know what to say.
Say it anyhow, Chris. Come on.
Well, they say that the man who pleads his own case is a fool for a client. But I won't let down anybody who believes in me.
You're a witness, Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I don't know what to ask you, Mr. Macy.
Just ask me anything.
Well, how are things at the store?
Pretty good, Chris.
Sorry I can't be with you.
So are we.
Your substitute Santa doing all right?
Oh, he's just another Santa Claus.
Oh, no, Mr. Macy, you mustn't say that. He isn't just another Santa Claus, any more than this Christmas is just another Christmas. It's the same Christmas, timeless and unchanging, with the same deeper meaning it always has. The same summons to all men to have faith, not in any one faith, but to have faith in themselves, in mankind, in each other. Because if all the earth be laid in ruins and all our yesterdays and all man's wonders become smoke and ashes, and man remains, well, then everything remains. For all we have on earth that matters is each other. And that's what Christmas is. A time for unselfishness, a time for each other, for goodwill and understanding, and deep respect for all our fellow men.
Your Honor, Oh, very well.
Christmas isn't just once a year. Christmas is always. Flowering, let's say, in late December. And your new Santa Claus isn't just another Santa Claus, Mr. Macy. To the purest minds and the most immaculate souls among us, I mean the little children, he is Santa Claus. Because they believe he is. And that's good enough for me, Mr. Macy. That's good enough for me.
It's good enough for me, too, Chris.
Mr. Macy, do you believe I'm Santa Claus?
I certainly do.
Thank you, Mr. Macy.
Your witness, Mr. Prosecutor.
Your Honor, this is all very charming, but I must ask the court to demand that Mr. Gailey present competent authority. Competent authority, I say, for the contention that his client is Santa Claus.
Have you such authority, Mr. Gailey?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Will that be all, Fred?
Yes, Chris, for now.
Before you go, Mr. Kringle, the bailiff handed me this letter in care of this courthouse. It would appear to be for you. It's addressed to Santa Claus.
Oh?
The bailiff also informs me that the dead letter office of the Post Office Department has forwarded some other mail addressed simply Santa Claus.
Well, that's very kind of them.
Your Honor! Your Honor! Where are those other letters? I request that they be entered in evidence.
I'm afraid that would be awkward, Mr. Gailey.
What do you mean awkward, Your Honor?
There are 9 truckloads of those letters.
Your Honor! Your Honor, counsel for the state has asked for authoritative testimony that my client is Santa Claus. The U.S. postal laws make it a criminal offense to misdirect mail or intentionally to deliver it to the wrong party. The Postal Department itself, therefore, recognizes this man, Kris Kringle, as Santa Claus.
Order!
Objection!
Order!
Objection!
Order, I say. I say order. In view of such overwhelming testimony, case dismissed.
It was clear and cold when Fred and Kris Kringle got out on the courthouse steps. It looked and felt like a white Christmas, like a good Christmas, same as always.
What was in that letter anyhow, Chris?
Letter? Oh, clean forgot to open it. I better, though. It's from Susan.
I suspected it was.
Dear Chris.
Dear Chris, I don't care what anybody says, even the judge. I believe in you, even if I don't get the house. I know everything will turn out right. I hope you're not sad.
Signed,
Susan.
P.S.
P.S. I believe in you too, and in your legal counsel.
Signed.
Doris.
You know, Chris, it was Susan's belief and faith that made her write you that letter. It was her letter that gave the post office the idea of forwarding all those dead letters to you.
of course. A little child shall lead them.
She's a sweet little girl. I wish...
You know, Fred, there's a little Cape Cod cottage for sale out near the old people's home. Be just right for 3 people.
I can't afford anything right now.
Well, looking at that house a few days ago, I said to myself, Chris, one good case to bring him fame, and Fred Gailey could buy that little cottage and make a little girl extremely happy.
Chris.
And then Susan would know I'm Santa Claus.
Kris Kringle, did you hit Mr. Sawyer on the head to bring all this into court?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Chris, answer me straight. Who are you?
Me? I'm Kris Kringle.
"75 years ago, December 23rd, 1949, the Screen Directors Playhouse presentation of Miracle on 34th Street. Thank you so much for joining us. Edmund Gwinn starring as Kris Kringle there. We'll be back with more following CBS News, brought to you by Mount Wheeler Power here on KELY.